Hello, my friends. Today we are going to some cattle ranchers in the United States to see how the process of raising millions of cattle happens. Currently in the United States, there are more than 700,000 cattle ranchers in particular. Texas, Nebraska, Kansas, and Oklahoma are the states with the largest number of cattle ranchers in the country. Cattle industry has existed in Texas for more than 300 years. As a place with a favorable climate conditions and large grasslands, herds thrive in this state. Currently in the United States, there are more than 70 different breeds of cow. The most popular cattle breeds include the Beefmaster, Longhorn, Hereford, and Anguses. Amongst them, the Angus breed is easily the most seen cattle breed in the grasslands of Texas. Every year, about 35.8 million cars are born in the United States, and up to 11 million of them are born in Texas. At birth, these cows typically weigh between 60 and 80 pounds. On some Texas farms, calves will live with their mother for about 3 months before weaning. At the age of 1 to 3 months, these calves will have to go through a branding process. Branding helps ranchers easily identify their cattle when they get lost in another herd whilst grazing in the pasture. Today, many Texas ranchers still use cattle branding in the traditional way to mark their herds, just as they did in the 1800s. It's part of the history of grazing cattle here. Cows are considered mature when they reach 13 to 15 months of age. Many people believe that dairy cows have a special diet with lots of grains. However, the reality is that more than 60% of dairy feed in the United States is grass and corn silage. Annually, cattle ranches in the United States consume about 315 million tons of silage. This is the process of harvesting corn silage on a farm in Texas. There are currently 351 dairy farms in Texas, with about 600,000 cows and an annual milk production of 15.1 billion pounds. At this farm, dairy cows are fed twice a day in the morning and evening. In addition, thousands of dairy cows are also massaged to relax so that they are always in the best spirit. This also greatly affects the ability to produce milk. Cow dung here will also be cleaned with this machine. We advise that you not eat while viewing these images. If only milking cows with a small number of individuals, this machine will be used. In the U.S., the average dairy cow produces more than 7.5 gallons of milk per day. If she was only producing enough to feed her calves, a dairy cow would only produce about a gallon of milk per day. When it is necessary to milk cows in large quantities, hundreds of cows will be brought into this factory. They look like spectators sitting at a football stadium. Hello, my friends. Today, we are going to dairy farms in the states of California and Texas in the United States to see how caring for thousands of dairy cows and harvesting billions of pounds of milk happens currently. The United States is the fourth largest country in the world in terms of dairy cows, with about 9.4 million heads and an annual milk production of 220 billion pounds. After birth, these cows are separated from the mother cow, and the workers here act as their mother. According to statistics of the United States Department of Agriculture, each year about 8 million calves are born, and about 500,000 cows die soon after. In addition, 450,000 cows die in the lactation process. Calves with health problems will also be kept separately for medical care for the first month of their life. The calves will be kept entirely indoors. Currently, California, Wisconsin, Idaho, and Texas are the four states with the largest number of dairy cows in the country, of which California alone has 1.7 million cows. Currently, most cattle in Texas are considered fully mature and eligible for meat consumption when they reach the ages of 2 to 3 years. In the morning, these cowboys will release their cattle to the grasslands to let them feed freely. According to statistics released in 2020, the United States has about 614 million acres of land used for cattle grazing, in which the state of Texas has a grazing area of 130 million acres, accounting for 21% of the country's area. On January 1, 2022, the United States Department of Agriculture said the number of cattle in the United States was 91.9 million heads. In addition to feeding freely in the grasslands, millions of these cattle also fed other foods such as corn and grain to increase the quality of their meat. It is reported that the amount of corn and grain consumed by cattle in the United States could be used to feed 800 million people each year. Thousands of cattle will be driven back to the farm by cowboys to rest and avoid predators at night. This is what happens when these cattle are eligible for meat harvest. Thousands of cattle will be sent to the beef processing plants. In 2020, the number of cattle slaughtered in the United States is around 33.3 million heads, and total meat production was 27.3 billion pounds. In the next part of the video, we will go to the cow farms in Australia to see how the process of exporting thousands of cattle goes on there each year. Cattle farms in Australia export about 1.3 million head, and 80% of that is shipped to China. First, these herders will use helicopters to drive thousands of cattle back to the gathering area. Next, these cattle will be transported by a truck to the port. And this is what happens at the harbor. Thousands of cattle will be loaded onto ships and exported to other countries. Process is complete. Thousands of gallons of cow's milk are sent to milk processing plants or cheese factories. This is what happens at a cow cheese factory. Do you like to eat cow cheese? In 2020, total U.S. cheese production was around 13.25 billion pounds. Wisconsin is the nation's leading state in terms of cheese production with 3.36 billion pounds. In second place is California with 2.5 billion pounds. Currently, the United States is also the country with the largest cheese production in the world. How do you feel about dairy cow care and cheese production in this video? Let us know what you think in the comments section of this video. Goodbye and see you in the next video.